Peace, happy Sunday morning. So last night or yesterday, if you're in the States, a fight that many of the British boxing fans have been calling for many, many years. At one point, most of us was just kind of like not thinking it was ever going to happen, but finally culminated last night as Kell Brook and Amir Khan finally got it on, and Kell Brook stops Amir Khan in the sixth round, which was really, for the most part, a dominant performance by Kell Brook. I mean, right from the very first round, I want to say within seconds of the first round, he hits Khan with something, and all of a sudden, it's the same old story with Amir Khan. Shaky legs, the punch resistance. For Amir Khan, I mean, for the majority part of his career, when he's gotten in there with either big punchers and or even moderate punchers, that somehow, some way, always came into the picture. And I feel, unfortunately for Amir Khan, part of the stigma of his career is going to be his chin. Because much of the highlights of his career had been by him getting knocked out. It's no disrespect to Khan, man. I mean, I've always thought Khan, his durability to me was always his Achilles heel, because at his peak, he was a difficult guy to fight, man. I mean, he was very fast, very long, threw punches and bunches. And by many accounts of people that fought him, even guys that knocked him out, they're like, yo, he's not an easy guy to fight, He just seemed to put his neck out there a little too long for a guy whose whiskers aren't that great. It's just, I feel his style of fighting, meaning Khan, needed to be tamed a little and needed to be shelled. Like, he put himself out there a lot of times, man, to where there's guys, even today, man, that their whiskers aren't that great, but what keeps them afloat is they don't make it easy for you to hit them, where Khan kind of was just like, hey, look at me. So that presented itself last night. Kell Brook took advantage. I think Kell Brook's just historically has just always been the stronger guy, which is why I picked him to win this fight, let alone all the other things with Khan that had just always followed him, man. And to Khan's credit, he never got, he never got like drop. He got hurt like several times, but he managed to kind of try to stay in there. And then there were points where I was like, okay, he's fighting from a distance. What I'm thinking was he was listening to Bomac as best he could. But I look, man, and from the accounts of what Khan was saying after the fight, I don't feel he went into this fight very confident, and I don't feel he went into this fight looking at the future. Like, I really feel he walked into this fight probably thinking this was going to be his last fight. Which is why I say when you start hearing fighters talk retirement and talk about like things beyond boxing, like that probably, and particularly if you're at where Khan is, that's a good sign for you to just leave. I say this with Wilder, okay? I've been adamant that I would like to see, not because I have anything against Wilder, I would like to see him retire, because I'm hearing the same thing from him, talking about retirement, talking about doing ayahuasca, doing all this stuff. You're not thinking of boxing. And once you start not thinking of boxing, what happened last night to Amir Khan, not exactly the same, but it tends to happen. Boxing, a lot is up here, guys. You'll hear that from a lot of trainers, coaches. A lot of it is up here. And if you're going into the ring knowing you're not 100%, Ray Leonard will tell you this even in the Roberto Duran fight. He went to that ring knowing he wasn't 100% up there, okay? Not to take anything away from Roberto Duran at all. But I think, and to my point, Khan announces his retirement after the fight. I think he was with Radio Raheem or one of these interviews. I saw him say to Radio Raheem, I don't think I'm going to retire. I just don't have the... In one of the other interviews, he said he doesn't have the love for the sport. I mean, like, that's telling you. And Khan's made a lot of money. He's made really good money. He's got a crib over here. He's fine, man. Like, Khan is gonna be fine. Kell Brook, he's another one that, like, I don't think he has a long stretch, but, you know, they're talking about Eubank Jr. So does he go to 160? I'll tell you this. I'll say this. That's a less dangerous fighting Eubank Jr. than what he was going up against to fight Triple G. If the deal is he's going to go to 160 again. Just saying, man. But I with Kell Brook too, man. We've seen the best Kell Brook, but Kell Brook, I've always said, all these guys at welterweight that didn't fight him, the only guy that fought, two guys that fought him, well, three, I'm sorry, were the top three guys. Porter, Brook, Porter, Spence, and Crawford. I mean, however you rate Thurman over Porter, I mean, he beat, but you see Brook fought top level guys, and you know there's certain guys that didn't ever seem to want to fight him. But Kell Brook, by all means, man, for all those guys, he gave Spence a tough fight, gave Crawford, you know, tough fight early, and then Triple G. Funny enough, that Kell Brook fight, the first one was the first fight where we were like, oh, Triple G's actually human a little bit, huh? So I've always liked Kell Brook, man. I always thought he's a really good fighter. Probably didn't get the opportunities that he should have gotten earlier on, but hey, man. So we'll see what happens with him and Eubank Jr. Does he move up to 160? I would assume for the UK fans, like that would be a pretty big fight, right? So, but we'll see. But yeah, man, Amir Khan announces his retirement. Listen, man, he fought all the time. He fought a lot of top guys, win or lose. And you know, when we start talking about Hall of Fame, though, it's like it's kind of tough. But again, like they're throwing anybody in the Hall of Fame these days. But that's like I don't think he's first ballot at all. Like not at all. But we'll see, man. But in any case, let me know what you thought of the fight. What do you think about Kell Brook and Chris Eubank Jr.? I like to watch that, man. I'm a little critical of Eubank Jr. I feel like he's trying to mirror Roy a little bit too much. I mean, granted, Roy's training him. There's just stuff he does that I'm not like too privy on. But anyway, I'd like to see that fight. If they do that in the UK, that's I want to assume like a monster event. But in any case, let me know what you thought of the fight. What do you think of Kell Brook's immediate future? How many fights do you think he has left? And what do you think of Khan's future? Like what I've said, unfortunately, the story of his career is gonna be this. But I guess if you want to add on, how would you describe Amir Khan's professional career? So, in any case, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Some of y'all got tomorrow off, so enjoy. I'm out.